All right, what's happening, heads? So, the tape desk conversion, what to do with your old stacks of dead tapes video I did the other day, had an interesting thing on the tape that I chose. I spun the coin across the table and picked a tape to play while we were putting the desk together and showing it off, and it was 1231 71 Winterland. Bill Graham said something interesting that I heard, and it has been resonating or running around in my mind. It resonated with me, and it's been running around in my mind because it basically explains the origins of a lot of the tapes that came around in the early 70s. Now, FM broadcast, what Bill Graham says, and we'll listen to it in just a moment, so hang out. FM broadcast was relatively new, and it was clean and pure, and radio stations, if you worked with them in advance, would play your shows live. Bill Graham says here, and you'll hear it in a minute, that he wishes that the other bands would have embraced that as much as the Grateful Dead did, and he talks about this whole tour, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but he mentions the specific tour that starts in Minnesota on 10/19/71 and runs all the way till 12/31. Mainly Midwest, East Coast, lots and lots of colleges, and most of them allowed, or most of the colleges that rather played and made a deal with the Dead to play their live shows out over the FM radio. So let's listen to what Bill Graham says about this. And this, incidentally, this is Keith's first tour, and this Minnesota show that started the tour on 10/19 was the very first show that Keith ever played, and Donna wasn't even in yet. So let's listen to what Bill Graham has to say here. I'll turn it up. Where do we go? All right, it should be right here.
What happened to the FCC? My God. These fine, upstanding young men have just come back from a cross-country tour, and if a lot of the other bands would have done what they've been doing for the last few months, I think the whole thing would be in better shape. That every town they went to, they made arrangements with the FM station in that town to broadcast all of their shows live in those areas. So that something to be said for what we have here. Once again, for your pleasure and mine, the Grateful Dead.
Rad. So, tons of these tapes and these shows, Minnesota, then Chicago, and then Detroit, and Rochester, and Onondaga War Memorial, Syracuse, the Allen Theater in Cleveland, Taft Auditorium, the Ohio Theater, the Harding Theater in Chicago or San Francisco. I've got that tape in here. And then way back out to Atlanta and San Antonio, down in Fort Worth, Austin, Albuquerque, back to LA, back to Boston. I mean, jumping all over the place. New York, Felt Forum, which is inside Madison Square Garden, and then Ann Arbor, St. Louis, like all kinds of stuff. And then they finally get back to do, it looks like just one show on 12/31. But that's where all these tapes came from. There weren't a million tapers in 70 and 71. Mainly it was Owsley doing the board stuff or someone from the Grateful Dead recording it on the board. And some people taping, but tape technology wasn't that. You couldn't just go out and buy Nakamijis on a deck back then. You know, you had to have a whole different setup to make it even happen. So, that's where a lot of these tapes came from. I have stacks of them in here, and they're killer recordings, and it's because of FM broadcasting. So I thought that was an interesting fact, and I wanted to share it with you. So let's listen to this other one. And this was probably an FM broadcast on New Year's Eve. I'm not sure. There we go. came from. Clear, clean FM broadcast signal. Some pretty ferocious other one. This is still from 12/31/71 Winterland. Just after drums. Interestingly enough, they do drums, other one, me and my uncle, back in the other one. Drums, other one, me and my uncle, other one. Yeah. So this is a soundboard, it says right here, and it was transferred by the amazing Charlie Miller. I don't know if it has any, it doesn't really have any tapers notes. It said it was a soundboard off the master reel, of course, so. But this is what they would have used as a broadcast to send out to the radio station. So the broadcast actually would have went off the dead soundboard somehow and then out to the station. I don't know if the station would have people there and then would send the signal. I'm not sure how it worked. You know, I never delved into that to understand it, but it's pretty amazing. I always wondered how the tapes got distributed so far and wide. I mean, I knew, of course, you know, it was, you could get tapes, but there were so many from like 70, 71, 72, and later. It's the FM radio broadcast. Straight from the soundboard, out over the airwaves. Cheers, everybody. Love these old, fill heavy other ones. Other ones always been fill heavy. But 1971, wild year. So many shows. It says here they played 110 shows in 69, 170, 82 and 71, 97 and 72. It's a lot of touring. So remember, not only are we thanking a taper, but we are thanking the FM broadcasters and the radio stations from back then, and the people who recorded it. So thank a taper, thank a broadcaster, thank a recorder. Because people recorded them off the radio at home. And that's where a lot of those amazing tapes came from. I mean, if you were about to hear your favorite band on the radio, crystal clear from a live show, and you had the ability to record it, you would've. You definitely would've. Excuse me. All right. Once again, 12/31/71 Winterland. And I'm going to let you guys listen to the rest of this fine show yourselves. But remember what Bill Graham said. All the other bands should have been putting their stuff out to the FM stations and the airwaves, just like the Grateful Dead were. but they didn't, and we got a lot of dead tapes. So I don't know. I guess that's their bad and our good. All right, have a great day. Talk to you guys in a bit.
Peace.